Hi, my name is Dr Jon Hobson from the University of Gloucestershire, and I'm here today with Jane Durston, who is a Restorative Justice Facilitator for Restorative Gloucestershire. Jane, thank you very much for joining me. I wonder if you could start by maybe just saying in your own words what it is that Restorative Gloucestershire do. What's their role?
Okay, so Restorative Gloucestershire is a hub. We are funded by the Police and Crime Commissioner, and we can get involved anywhere where there is conflict, where people would like to try and achieve some sort of resolution. So that could be within community, it could be within families, and it could also be in the criminal justice system.
Thanks. So you're a Restorative Justice Facilitator with Restorative Gloucestershire. What does that mean? What do you do as a facilitator?
So we would go and prepare any participants to potentially have a face-to-face meeting, or they could also do restorative letters, or we could do shuttle mediation. So our role is essentially going out and speaking to anybody who might want to participate in such a thing, and we'll ask them a series of questions talking about whatever incident has happened, their thoughts and feelings at the time, who's been impacted by it and how they've been impacted, and what they think needs to happen in order to make things right or repair the harm in some way.
So, go on.
Yeah.
So how long might you take working with someone then in the build up to some kind of restorative conference or restorative event?
Well, to be honest, it can vary from a matter of weeks up until, I think, 3 years is probably the longest I've heard about the preparation taking.
Wow.
Yeah. So as long as it takes.
Yeah. And what kind of crimes, what kind of harms might you work with?
Well, that again can be totally broad and varied. So it can be anything from harmful sexual behaviour. We have taken murder cases. So really anything and everything in between. Wow.
And you talked a bit about some of the different things you do there. So a conference and shuttle work. I mean, what's the difference then between a face-to-face conference and shuttle work?
If I had to say, in my view, a face-to-face conference is probably the gold standard. So that I have just seen the best and most long-lasting effects in terms of therapeutic value for people. So a conference would look like, after loads of preparation, we would eventually try to work towards a facilitated meeting where the two people who have been most affected by the crime or the incident or the event will come together and they will have a conversation, and that might mean that the victim or harmed person can ask a series of questions, or they may want to talk about that impact on them. They may want to suggest some things that the person causing the harm could do to try and repair things. They might want to talk about how they're going to manage things if they accidentally meet up in the street. The other type of mediations and things that we do are we can do shuttle. So if these two people don't feel, or we don't feel it's appropriate for them to have a face-to-face meeting, we can, with their consent, shuttle messages back and forth between the two about questions that they want answered and so on. And at the end of any of these, what we'd hope to be getting to is something called an outcome agreement. So that's not a legally binding document, but it's more like a statement of best intention, if you will, where the two people will come up with a list of things that are going to happen as a result. Both people will sign it, both people will have a copy of it, and the hope is then that that will be adhered to. And finally, the other thing that we do is restorative letters. So strangely enough, the victim is the person who writes the first letter. So it's not about a letter of apology from the person causing the harm. The victim will be invited to write the first letter, and that will essentially be getting their voice heard and setting out what their needs are from this process. So they may have some questions. They may want to talk about the impact on them or their family of whatever's happened. And it will then be for the facilitators to take that across to the person who's caused the harm and assist, facilitate them to write a response letter. So that might take us several times to make sure that it's actually addressing everything that the victim wanted. There's very much a victim-led process.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fascinating stuff. We talk about the different ways that people are engaging there. And you said a bit earlier about the face-to-face being gold standard, or certainly where you've seen the most impact. So this stuff works, or do you think this stuff works?
I'm 100% convinced it works. I've seen it work. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And we've had, for example, some police officers that maybe were a little bit sceptical, shall we say, and think that restorative justice is kind of pink and fluffy. But actually, I think it's in many ways a lot more challenging for people than many of the other options offered by the criminal justice system. When you see the impact. So, for example, I had two, really die-hard police officers, and I asked them to come and observe and attend a case that they'd been very heavily involved with. And one of them came out in tears. I've never seen anything like it, he said. And so, the way we convert people to this is come and watch and see.
Yeah, and so people are able to come and watch restorative conferences then?
They are, yes. So we have an observer program, and obviously we need the consent of all parties,
Yes.
to do with confidentiality and so on. But yeah, we do run an observer program, and I have to say, I think if people would like to get involved with that, they can get in touch with us.
Brilliant. And then finally, how did you get involved in this? How did you become a restorative justice facilitator?
Well, there's a funny story. So I was working at quite a notorious housing project in Gloucester, supported housing. And one day they took us, but they kind of shut the offices and took all the staff on an away day, and we didn't know what it was going to be for or what it was going to be about. And I met the Donovan family, who are very well known in the restorative world. And it was a whole day on restorative justice. So we met ex-offenders, we met victims, and had some really, really inspirational talks. And everyone was in tears. And as I sat there, I turned to my colleague and I thought, this seems to incorporate everything that I want to do in the world. It's all about law, fairness, justice. I can use my counselling skills, and it just seemed to be completely spot on. So I went and had a chat with the Donovans in the break and said, how does somebody get into volunteering to do this? Because it was only voluntary work available. She put me in touch with Restorative Gloucestershire. I got in touch with them, went on the 3-day training, absolutely loved it. So I volunteered for, I think, maybe about a year. Was still loving it, and so I just kept putting my hand up to Becky and saying, please, when there's a job, I want it. So, and the rest is history. This in June this month, I'll have been there 2 years now.
Wow, oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, Jane, thank you very much for spending some time and telling us about your role and what you do, and good luck with this in the future.
Thanks ever so much, John.